Hello, how's it going? Good, grand, great, fantastic. And finally, we're going to talk about a topic that's very close to my heart. I want to thank Paul for his video on Monday, in which he started off a topic of discussion to do with climate change. So, what can we do to combat climate change? Well, first and foremost, the most important subject to tackle is the human population. I'm definitely one of those people that feels we need a massive population culling. And I don't mean in a kind of massacre, numpty kind of way. I just mean that as a world, we need to look at the growing problem that will be the human population as a whole. I think that is the number one issue to tackle first and foremost, and it needs to be the one thing that we all come together as a fucking nation and agree on. How you tackle it, it's like trying to herd cats. It's just, but something has to be done about human population. Okay, so from a political perspective, what can we do? And this one's pretty straightforward. In a dream world, it will be perfect, but pressure your local MP or senator, governor, whatever it is in America, into only voting on non-fossil fuel legislations. Make sure that they are the ones voting yes on renewable energy sources. And if they don't, and if they're in the pockets of the big companies, then come election time or by-elections, vote them out. So one of the things that is also important as well is we kind of have to restructure our energy policies in countries that aren't drafted in a way that we are held to ransom by energy companies and reliant on energy companies with atrocious, outrageous, like my energy bills are £1,500 a year at cheapest, and we're not we're very careful with the power we consume in this house. I'll get to that later, but we should be pushing for policies that we can go off the grid and not be reliant on these. But of course, we live in a society where you're treated as a criminal should you do that. Should you suddenly cut your I think in the UK we're okay with that, but in America they'll pass legislations that forbid you from doing that. You can't go off the grid. You're treated as a criminal because it hurts the bottom line, which is profit. No, we have to push, we should be encouraged to go off the grid because it puts less of a strain on infrastructure, it puts less of a strain on the environment, more importantly, because if you're only using a battery or solar panels and things like that, you're not releasing fucking carbon into the air off of a power grid. So what can we do as individuals to help combat climate change? Well, this is going to be the longer subject of my video because it's the most important one, I feel. And so first and foremost, water consumption. That is, for me, one of the most important things because, yes, you could talk about pollution in the air and the world heating, but our need for water is going to be growing ever more, especially with increasing populations. So as an individual, you do have to be careful with your water consumption. Things that I detest are, for example, people that once they urinate once, they'll flush the toilet. You don't need to do that unless you're taking a dump, then yes, an immediate flush. But when you're urinating after the third time, do it. You'd be amazed how many litres of water that saves. And if every household do that, it's incredible. Showering is another one. So when I shower, I'll quickly let the water run. I'll wet myself, turn off the water, lather, turn on the water, rinse, and then do the same for my hair. Okay, that's showering. You'd be amazed again how many hundreds of litres you save just by turning it off for a few minutes before turning it back on. There's that. Prime example of this, by the way, how much water we waste just showering. In Greece, we have a barrel in the garden where the beach house is, and the sun hits it, and it heats it up all day long. Now, in that, we have a small container. It's barely a litre big, and you get it. You rinse your body, you lather yourself, you then just rinse your body again, and then you do the same for your hair. All right, and you're using barely 4 litres of water, if that, per usage. That's huge. That just shows you how much you waste just taking a shower, let alone a bath. Reduce your use of plastic goods. Again, supermarkets, in fact, well, that will be next. But yourself, reduce your use of of plastic bags if you can. Councils do this great thing where they give you a food bin, so you can just chuck your things in there. Yeah, it's nasty, but it's better than having plastic bags just keep being fucking scattered everywhere. So I like that. Again, in terms of your paper consumption, like one thing that used to drive me crazy at work was how much paper we used to waste. And, you know, I'd get into trouble. I'd get talking to about it, and I'd be like, no, I don't care. This is one of these things that I stand firm on. Is like, you can't just fucking waste paper. And after the ticking offs and all of this, then we got hit with the budgetary troubles. And one of those was that we waste too much money on paper. It was £7,000 or £17,000 a year. I think it was £7,000 a year on paper alone. There you go. In terms of transportation, you know, okay, I love to use my car. I'm not gonna lie, but I love walking more than I love driving. Now, sadly, you can see the crutch in the back. My health went to shit in the last year. I don't even know why. Even as a fat guy, I was very active. I had a personal trainer and all that, but sadly something went wrong with my legs, and so my mobility has been shot to shit. So sadly I can't get around, but I will still push myself to walk to the train station to get a train to go somewhere rather than take my car. Prior to that, I just used to walk everywhere. I'll be like, how far is it? 3 miles? I'll fucking walk it there and I'll walk it back. Not a problem. I love walking and I play my part. Cycling is great. As well, but not just that, because people will then argue, but then my area doesn't have public transport infrastructure, things like that. Then again, pressure your local representatives to push for those kind of policies to reduce the number of vehicles being used. These are other things that are very important. You know, okay, I live in London. We have great public transport here. No fucking complaints. My biggest complaint is it's too fucking expensive, but I'll still use it because I play my part. Anyway, that is it. Those are my things on what action we could take to help combat climate change. I mean, believe me, I could go on for hours talking about it, but I think I'll just keep it at that. I think this video is probably going to be about 8 or 9 minutes long already. Hopefully not. But thank you to Paul for bringing up such a great subject. As you can see, I jumped straight on it. Last week I didn't do a video because I was gaming, and then I looked at the time. I was like, you know, I can't be asked if I can do a video. I'll just carry on gaming. That is all.